Here follows an extract from my book Artful Designs, available from Amazon. Chapter 1, Part 2. The conversation turned to the work they shared at the gallery and of the minor gripes and politics that inevitably simmered in the background. "I wish Theodore would stop peering over my shoulder," said Scott. "I don't feel I can go anywhere without him breathing down my neck. He never used to be like this. Doesn't he trust me anymore? I thought he did, but now it feels like I'm back to square one." "You mustn't take it to heart. It's nothing personal," said Drew. "He's like that with all of us just at the moment. You haven't changed and neither has Theodore. It's just that work has progressed and we're now dealing with a new section in the gallery. It's Constable that's the problem. You should blame him. It's an absolute passion that Theo has nursed and fed for years. He's spent the majority of his working life building up connections to buy or exhibit Constable. This collection is the fruit of his life's work and we're packing it away while the building work is carried out. He can't bear it being shut away, and yet at the same time he can't bear the thought of anything getting damaged by the builders. He's having a hard time of it trusting any of us. If he could, he'd wrap every single sketch himself, only that won't get the job done in time. That reminds me, how's the preparation for your talk for the WI coming along? It's nearly upon us. And I know you always leave things until the last minute," asked Beth. "I was hoping to get a sneak preview." "It's almost ready, I'll have you know. But we both know that it's only because my little helper here is constantly nagging me to get on with it," said Drew. "Scott was going to ask you if his mum could visit your group as a guest for the talk. Would that be okay?" "Of course, that'd be lovely. Your mum would be most welcome. I'm glad that you've got Drew in hand, otherwise he'd be organising slides into the small hours of the morning on the day of the meeting. Do I get a sneak peek?" said Beth. "I don't think that I want to spoil it for you. You'll find it too boring at the meeting if I show you all of the slides beforehand. And I've not decided on some of the final slides yet. Scott is helping me to choose the images and to time the talk. There's so much that I want to include, but I know that I'm restricted to about 45 minutes. I will say that I am, of course, including lots of Constable, and I've a special edition that was suggested to me by Diederick, which will suit a group of ladies," said Drew. "Who is Diederick? I've not heard you mention that name before," said Beth. "Diederick van der Molen, or Rick for convenience, is on secondment from Amsterdam to the Manchester City Art Gallery. We've recently spent a good deal of time debating the various merits of our respective nations' artistic heritage," said Drew. "Drew showed me some pictures on the internet. I don't care what Rick says. I think that Dutch portraiture from the 17th century is downright ugly," said Scott. "I couldn't agree more, but it doesn't stop Rick from trying to convert me. Suffice to say that I won't be including much from that genre in my talk. However, I am willing to acknowledge the attraction of some of the floral still life paintings, and I thought it would be particularly appropriate for you lovely ladies." "Scott agrees that they fit into the schedule nicely," said Drew. "I'm sure that green-fingered Kirsty and Hyacinth will enjoy that especially, and Nicola too, being a florist. No doubt the rest of us will appreciate it on a less informed level. Kirsty and Hyacinth can impress us by giving all of the flowers their official Latin names, and Nicola can give us RHS winners' opinion of composition," said Beth. "I suppose that I'll let you keep your little secrets and wait for the meeting. In the meantime, would you prefer to turn your attention to the more mundane matter of properly filling your stomachs?" Both Drew and Scott heartily agreed that, although they didn't realise it until now, they were both utterly ravenous after their artistic exertion. Scott said he'd call his mum to prevent her worrying if he was home later than he'd originally said. "Yes, please call us," said Beth. "Tell your mum that I look forward to meeting her at the WI next week." Beth set to scrambling some eggs. The hens were in full production mode and there were plenty. In a last-minute burst of inspiration, she vamped them up a little by shredding the remnants of a packet of tortilla wraps into the frying pan and then added some finely sliced green peppers and some chili flakes. The vivid yellow yolks from the freshly laid eggs and the green of the peppers made an appealing combination. "Wow, those eggs are bright. What have you done to them?" said Scott. Beth laughed. I haven't done anything. This is what fresh free-range eggs should look like. I fetched most of your supper from the hen house only this afternoon. They make supermarket eggs look very pale in comparison, don't they? Now that summer is almost here, we'll be eating eggs until they come out of our ears. Enjoy them while they're a novelty. You'll soon get tired of them, said Drew. Are you in the gallery tomorrow? Asked Scott. Yes, if you're free, I could do with a hand moving some of the larger Constable frames, and we'll photograph the last few images for my talk while we're at it. If you want to join me for lunch, I'm going to the Manchester Art Gallery to photograph the Dutch works as the last bits of reference. I'll treat you to lunch there if you can make it. The soup is delicious, said Drew. As an afterthought, he dutifully added, though not as tasty as your lick and potato soup, Beth. Everybody helped to clear the dishes into the dishwasher once the meal was finished, which didn't take long. Drew then suggested that it was time to get Scott home, as they'd all got an early start in the morning. It was lovely to meet you, Scott, said Beth. I look forward to seeing your mum at the WI meeting. Will you be coming along too? If I can, I'd like to see the presentation in order. I've only seen mismatched bits and bobs. But am I allowed? I mean, it is the Women's Institute after all, said Scott. As you're in the capacity of technical assistance, I'm sure that will validate your admittance. It'd be a shame for you to miss out. Let me assure you that the cakes alone will make the trip entirely worthwhile. Natalie is on the rota and her cakes are particularly special. She's a regular WI trophy winner, said Beth. The gents said their goodbyes and left. Savouring an hour to herself, Beth put her pyjamas on and settled into a chair with her signature milky drink of hot chocolate, malt extract and vanilla. Noodle, the aged Bichon, nestled into her lap, and the two were gently falling asleep when Drew returned home. For the full book of Artful Designs, available in paperback or as an ebook, follow the link in the cards in the description box or find details on my website at sharonbill.com. Thanks for listening.